Hi guys, my name is Carly Boone and I'm a junior here at UK. Today we're going to be showing you how to make a suction electrode with cheaper things that you can find instead of having to go buy one for maybe $50. You can make these for probably less than $1. So we're going to use this glass pipette here. You could probably find these in your regular teaching classroom or chemistry class. You probably used these before. And then there's also this plastic tubing that you can get at Home Depot. We can put the measurements and everything in the comments for you. Very cheap, less expensive than the ones that you can buy online. So what you're going to do with this glass pipette, you're going to want to break it. Definitely wear a glove or use a paper towel so you don't hurt yourself. But you can even use a file and etch the glass kind of where you want to break it, about right there. I don't know if you can really see that, but probably about right here. And then for safety, you're gonna want to use something to make sure you don't cut yourself, and then you'll just break it off here. Make sure you throw this away in a glass disposal instead of the regular trash, and then we'll be ready to use it for our next part. Alright guys, the next part we're going to take that pipette that you just broke off, and we're just going to heat the tip a little bit so it's not as sharp. You can just put it over. We're going to use an alcohol lamp here. You can also use a Bunsen burner if you guys have it, but either one works just as good. Okay, so you're going to hold the tip over the flame. You should see it turn kind of yellow. So for this next part, you're going to take your plastic tubing and you're just going to hold it right above the flame. And as you do so, be sure to rotate it all the way around until it gets really clear, like that in the middle. It might start to bulge, and then you can push it together and then start to slowly pull it apart. And then if this happens here, all you have to do is just cut it, take a pair of scissors and cut in the middle there, and it worked perfectly. So you might get it pulled apart like that here, or like this piece here. Okay, so for this next part, you're going to take that plastic piece that you just pulled apart, and you're just going to heat it up a little bit and have the pipette in the other hand. You just want it to bulge a little bit, and then you're going to slide it on to the pipette. Okay, so after you take those two pieces and you put those together, you're going to take some parafilm here, and you'll just peel it off. And to create more airtight seal and to create that vacuum for our suction, you're just going to take the parafilm and you're going to stretch it out a little bit and wrap it around. You can take the parafilm to create that nice seal and then just stretch it nice and tight around the pipette and that plastic. Okay, so you're going to take that, after you put the parafilm on that, you're going to take your piece here, and the next part we're going to do is, in order to make this a suction electrode efficient, we're going to take this silver wire and put it on the inside and the outside of your electrode. So what you want to do is you can just buy this at like a jewelry store or many places sell this. It can be any kind of thickness. A thin one like this is really fine. So what we're going to show you how to do is to chloride the wire. And what you want to do is measure it so that it goes almost to the tip in here in your plastic, and you want it to come out the top here. And then you're just going to take some wire cutters and cut that wire. Okay, so now we're going to cut a second wire for the outside, and we're actually going to wrap it around the bottom here. So you only need to measure it from probably about the tip to the top of wherever your parafilm is. So probably about right here. And then again, just grab your wire cutters and cut that. So you want to take your silver wire here, and you're going to chloride the silver wire. So you're going to take just a concentrated bleach. Make sure it's a concentrated version. And then you just pour it in a beaker here. You're going to take your pieces of wire and you're going to soak it in the bleach for 20 minutes. As you can see, this wire is nice and shiny and silver, and then after 20 minutes in the bleach, it should look like this, a nice dull and gray color. So for this next part, after the wire soaks in the bleach for 20 minutes, you can take it out, and you want to be sure to really wash this off with water to wash off any of that excess bleach. So then for our next part, we're going to show you how to solder these these colored wires here. This wire is about like a 20 gauge that would work perfectly. Two different colors would work, or you can do the same color. Two different colors would just make it easier to tell the difference between the two. So what you will do is you'll make a little twisty between the two wires for our next part too. So for our next part, we're going to show you how to solder the wires together. It might be beneficial for you to tape the bottom here just to hold the wires apart. So you'll take it and you're going to want to clamp one of those wires there to hold it in place for you. And then if you want to test to make sure that this tip is hot, and you can tell that it is. Try not to breathe in those vapors; they're not the best for you. So then what you're going to do is take your tip here and hold it under this wire. So we just want to get some solder on this so we can, for the next phase, we can attach our wire. You can see that there. So after you get some solder on the wire, you're just going to make the physical contact. You're going to take this silver wire and just wrap it around this wire here. And then after we get that physical contact, we can solder those together. So now here's the part where you want to solder it more, that silver wire we just wrapped around. Okay, so for this next part, you can either take the wires that are in your backyard brains box here and you take off those pins, or you can go and buy just a radio cable, from a Radio Shack or somewhere like that for pretty cheap, and then you'll just take some wire cutters and cut a piece off. And then you're going to take it and you're going to strip it so that you can see the wire on the outside, and then strip this insulation here so that you can see that there's wire on the inside too, which is just like what was provided in the backyard brains. So what you want to do is you take that wire once you strip it and see both of them, and just twist it. And then again, like before, you're just going to make that physical contact and just wrap the wire around each one here before we solder them on. So after you're done soldering those two wires together, just take some black electrical tape here. So just tape these together here. That way they don't make contact later on. For the next part, we're going to finish making the part for our suction electrode that's actually going to attach to our syringe. So you're going to take more of this PE tubing here. And then you're going to take, you have an 18 gauge needle. And what you're going to do, open that up. Careful not to stab yourself. And then the sharp edge here we do not want, so you can either take a file like this, like the one we use to break our pipette, or you can take one of these hacksaw files here, and then you can do it you can do it many ways. If you want, you can take it and etch where you will break it. You could take your wire cutters and try this, but the problem is it could crimp it, and what it likes to do is close the hole that we need. Cutting the needle, the opening could get kind of pinched or crimped. You can just take some pliers or some cutters and just you know, manipulate that hole so that it opens up a little more. And then you're going to take that needle and just attach it to your PE tubing. Okay, so you want to grab your electrode that we made earlier, and with your PE tubing that you just attached that needle to, you just take it and measure it the length of this, and then you want it to be pretty lengthy outside of it, anywhere from like 2 to 3 feet, and then you can cut that. So it should look like that after you cut it. And then what we're gonna do, set that aside. You're gonna take the long wire here, and you're going to insert it into your electrode. Now you don't want to put the solder part all the way in there to keep it from corroding. So you want it out a little bit, and as you can see, it'll go down towards the tip of the electrode. Then what you're going to do is take that PE tubing that you just cut with the syringe, the needle on the end, and insert that as well. So for this next part, you're going to take some epoxy glue and some 5-minute, you know, quick dry epoxy glue. Either version of these will work. And then here, I'm just going to mix these two together real well using just like a wooden stick. So you're going to glue 2 different parts here. You're going to glue the syringe to this ET tubing. It's okay if it gets on the paper. You just put it all the way around. To be sure that glue gets done in there, you can even pull these apart and push them back together. Make sure they get real nice and glued together. So then for this next part, just get some more of your glue if you need more. And then you're just gonna put the glue down in here. I'm gonna make sure you get a lot in there. And if the glue settles, you can come back and do another coat. So be sure to get a lot of glue in there. And again, go all the way around. You're gonna take this 3-way stopcock here, and you're gonna attach your syringe over here to create that vacuum for our suction, and then this end here will attach to this syringe that you just glued on in that previous video.